What is anxiety? Hi, I'm Miriam and I teach emotional intelligence skills. Welcome to EI for Life. Let me explain to you what anxiety is with two examples. Okay? On this side we have Nikki, and on this side we have Sam. Totally random names because I don't know anybody with either of these names. These are people who maybe let's say they start off with the same level of fear. And now let's see what happens to them in their life. Every time we experience fear, this is a very strong physical reaction. Anxiety is fear plus worry. So what happens during anxiety is first we experience fear. Fear triggers hormones that are released into our bloodstream and neurotransmitters that are released into our brain. These chemicals have very specific effects on our brain and on our body. For example, our heart rate increases, our hands get sweaty, energy is released into our muscles, so we are ready to fight or flee. Our vision narrows because we're supposed to just run away. We are no longer able to creatively think because the part of our brain that does that gets less blood than the rest because we're supposed to just focus on the threat so we can get away. These are survival mechanisms and these happen every time you are afraid. You cannot control this. This is just an automatic reaction. Afterwards, the body needs to calm down again. So that doesn't just mean lower your heart rate, but it also means flushing out these chemicals or taking them apart again so they can be recycled and then stored away for the next time you experience fear. That's fear. What is worry? Our brains are fantastic, brilliant question answering mechanisms. You ask a question, your brain will immediately start to look for an answer. It will check your memory, it will look around you, it will have ideas how you can obtain the information you need to answer that question. We like to call it problem-solving mechanisms, but it's actually much more general. You can also answer really fun questions. That's what the brain is for. Now, when fear enters, it actually derails this loop because when we answer a question, we need the creative part of our brain to find new solutions, to have ideas where else to look for more information. But fear shuts that part of our brain down. And that's what we call worry, because we think the same thoughts again and again and again. A worry loop. We cannot get out because there's too much fear. And when you have these two together, that's anxiety. How do you get there? How do you become an anxious person? Let's get back to Nikki and Sam. So this is Nikki and Sam's fear level. Their base fear level, meaning at this level they feel calm. Okay, this is how they experience calm. This is supposed to be even. Okay. Now let's go through a day of their life. They have pretty much the exact same jobs. They get up in the morning and the first thing Nikki does is check their phone. So they doom scroll. Lots and lots of headlines designed to scare the person who looks at them. When we see a headline that is phrased like a problem, our brain tries to solve it. So first, if it's something scary, we feel fear. And then if it sounds like a problem that should be, that might have a solution, our brain tries to solve it. But it cannot, because most of these headlines are not actually our problems. Most of them we could not solve because we're not in a position to actually take action. Most of them we could not solve because frankly, they're none of our business, and we don't have enough information and we don't have access to information. So fear plus thoughts that go in a loop, worry. Nikki starts their day with feeling anxious. Now, this is low-level fear, and they may not actually be aware of it. So they just, go through their morning routine and everything's fine. But there's already fear chemicals in their body, and they have to go to work. So Sam, on the other hand, starts the day super chill. They do a bit of yoga, maybe move a little bit. They just have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea in peace and eat breakfast in peace. All right, they're at work. Now notice Nikki's level is still higher because they've already experienced fear. And this fear needs to be, the space level needs to, the fear level needs to come down again. But this takes hours. So having a hit of fear is like a second, but getting rid of those chemicals takes hours. All right? So they are at work and higher already. All right. The boss says, oh my gosh, so both of them have the exact same job. And both of them have totally different, but yet equally mean bosses who tell them that the presentation that was due tomorrow needs significant changes and they need to make those changes immediately. All right. Hit of fear. Both are equally worried, right? All right, what happens next? So, Sam does a bit of breathing. So they're calm and center again. They calm down a little bit, actively soothe themselves, and then they start working on the presentation. Nikki, who's up here, goes into habits of worrying. They write to a friend who totally understands what they're going through because they are also suffering from anxiety. And together with this friend, they talk about the presentation and about how unfair this is. So they complain, which releases more unhealthy chemicals into both of their brains, actually. And they stay in this complaint loop for a while. Now, Nikki tries to focus on work, but of course it's very difficult because they are in this worry loop and creativity is out the window. So everything is super hard. It takes them hours and it stresses them out even more because they keep looking at the time. The fear level rises. Meanwhile, we have lunch. Sam, a little bit stressed out about the presentation, decides to go outside for a walk. This helps their body calm down and release some of the energy fear releases and helps the body to, detox some of those chemicals. They also have a healthy lunch that gives them their body nutrition and again soothes instead of stresses out. Nikki, who's already up here, decides to stay at their desk and wolf down whatever they can find. Sugar. Oh yeah, sugar is great. Sugar feels to the brain very much like anxiety, which means that it releases the kinds of chemicals that feel like fear into the rest of the body. So, let's skip forward to the end of the day. Both have prepared some form of presentation. Nikki's levels have come a little bit down. Sam's levels are almost neutral again. Now, what do they do after work? Nikki is annoyed and frustrated, understandable because their level of, fear is up here. And their go-to reaction is to numb themselves. So what they do is they watch maybe a movie or they just sit on the couch and relax. So they don't actually help their body release any of the stress chemicals and fear chemicals. Maybe they live with someone who also has anxiety. Maybe they live with someone who has had a stressful day and they listen to this person. And their fear and anxiety levels rise again. Maybe they doom scroll more scary messages, more fear. Every time fear hits them, every single time, the level rises. Now, Sam goes to the gym. They release lots more of the energy. Sam meets up with a friend. They have dinner with someone. They choose something nutritious. They don't drink because alcohol makes them feel worse afterwards. Then they go home and they have a quiet evening at home. Maybe with someone, maybe alone. Maybe they watch a movie, but they choose the movie deliberately and they sit and pay attention. No phone in the evening, and then they go to bed. And during sleep, their base level, their body has no problem whatsoever to wash out all of the stress hormones because they go to sleep really early and they have a full night's sleep. Okay, that's Sam. What does Nikki do? So we left Nikki numbing themselves in front of the screen to get away maybe from somebody who's also has anxiety, and maybe they watch something scary, maybe something soothing, maybe even comedy. Okay. And maybe their levels drop a little bit. And then what do they eat? What do they drink? If they drink alcohol, they might feel a little bit better because it helps numb them. But after the alcohol, the effect wears off. Alcohol actually worsens whatever state you were in before you drank it. They get stuck in a watch loop. So they watch not one movie, but binge an entire series because they're so stressed out, and they tell themselves that they deserve this kind of rest. They don't move. So all of the stress is stored in their body. Then they go to sleep really late. And during sleep, yes, their base level is reduced. But now it's up here. And the next morning, this is really important. The next morning, it all starts all over again. Let's say both go to work the next morning. Both meet a dog. Neither of them likes dogs. And they walk with somebody else with them. And this person starts to laugh because Sam is super startled. But because Sam's base level spikes a little bit because of the fear of the dog, somebody else who laughs at them is contagious because their fear level isn't really high. So Sam laughs with them. Laughter releases the fear immediately. Now, let's look at Nikki, same situation. They walk with a friend. Nikki gets scared. First of all, they're already up here with their fear level. They get scared. Stronger reaction. Because fear is accumulative. They already have all these chemicals in their body, so more chemicals makes them even more afraid. The person next to them laughs. They're stressed. They're afraid. They get angry. Or they get even more afraid and start a loop of social anxiety. Oh my God, this person thinks I'm an idiot because I just got so scared about this dog. Worry loops, more fear, more fear, more fear, more fear, more fear. So, and that's how Nikki ends up with anxiety and Sam doesn't. All of the things Sam does, exercising, eating healthy, avoiding sugar and alcohol, hanging out with friends, so having healthy connections with friends, maybe not talking about work, having fun together. All of these things are emotional hygiene techniques. Maybe Sam even tried tapping for business success. And they didn't realize that EFT tapping also reduces anxiety. So Sam is practicing all these emotional hygiene techniques, not once a day, but all throughout the day. Taking a proper break at lunch, going outside into fresh air, oxygenating your body, helping your body get rid of, all those chemicals from fear. That's emotional hygiene. Drinking plenty of water, actual water. Emotional hygiene. All of this helps their body stay at a low base level for fear. Anxiety is being up here. And anxiety also means it's not just you're up here and then you just whoosh. It doesn't work that way. Because what got you up here are the habits you have. All the things you do every single day, the way you react when you are afraid, the people you interact with, all of it up here. Now, most of us are not this extreme. You do not have to become holier than thou, Sam. You can lead a calm life. With some of Nikki's habits, absolutely. Some things are also completely out of your control. If your boss suddenly wants drastic changes to a presentation for the next day, that's out of your control. But when your base level is down here, it doesn't matter. You can handle a little bit of fear and you know how to get back down. So anxiety is not one problem. It's not one illness with one cure. Not one problem with one solution. Once you understand this, that the way out of anxiety is really step by step, emotional hygiene technique on top of emotional hygiene technique practiced all throughout the day. Start super slow, getting those base levels down. That is the way out. Not managing the fear when you feel it. It's getting those base levels down. Not finding creative solutions for how to handle worry. It's getting those base levels down and having healthy techniques to keep them down all day, every day. I want you to sit with this for a little bit. And I want you to also listen closely. We are not supposed to be afraid for more than 2 minutes at a time. We are not supposed to experience fear more than once or twice a day. Now, think of your day. How often are you actually scared? Are you so scared all the time that you don't even notice it anymore? Do you scroll through news headlines or watch the news and feel fear so often that you don't even notice you are afraid anymore? Is a high level of fear your baseline? Do you freak out about things you know are small? And you don't even understand why would you freak out about something like a phone call? Because your fear level is already up here, and anything that's even a little bit scary pushes you up there. So, the way out is not one technique. It's not one cure. You gotta change your life. Tiny step by tiny step. New habits. There are things you gotta do, like moving your body, drinking plenty of water. There are things you want to avoid, like doom scrolling and numbing yourself with binge watching. There are people you want to get into your life and others you might want to ease out. Or maybe find someone, show them this video, and maybe do this together. Make a pact. When you're together, you no longer talk about fear. See how that goes. Anxiety is a way of life. It's not one bad habit, it's a whole ton of different bad habits. And you didn't get here by yourself. Society makes us more anxious actively. We are encouraged to be anxious. We are encouraged to binge watch programs. We are encouraged to doom scroll. We are encouraged to hang out on social media for hours. All of the technology is designed to keep us online for as long as possible, which is bad for our bodies and our minds. So it's not just, you. It's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's just that you got to understand what you are dealing with here so you can find your way out and start walking step by step. That is what made all the difference to me. I stopped looking for one cure. I stopped looking for the perfect technique. I understood that as many techniques as I have, so the more techniques, the better. And I understood that if I want to change my life, if I want to lead a calm and peaceful life, I've got to change my life. All right. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments, or you can find me at ei-forlife.com and just contact me through the website. Deep breath. That's another thing you want to practice. Belly breaths. And most importantly, if I could do this, if I could walk out of this, so can you. Have a wonderful day.